Hello, and welcome to Scout Trout YouTube. Today we're going to talk about the college football rankings, FBS Top 25. I'm going to do another video on the FCS rankings and everything that happened in FCS football this past weekend. As you can see, I'm repping the Delaware Blue Hens, former home of Joe Flacco, Super Bowl champion quarterback with the Baltimore Ravens. Had a great first outing with the Broncos. Was able to recover for a very shoddy kicker, in my opinion, and Brandon McManus, who missed an extra point. I was able to hit about 55, 60 yards tonight, 12 times in a row after not really doing much for a while, and it felt really good. It's not that hard to put it down the middle, man. And taught a kid at practice here at Nova High School who was a soccer kid, and I think from South America, and really had to straighten him out. And now he went 38 for 42, so it's not that hard. But, I'm sick of seeing all these missed field goals, because of these kicking coaches. But we'll get into that later. I want to talk about the college football top 25 at College Football Today, the AP top 25 and the coaches poll, why we do what we do. Our top 25 was released September 15th at 1:03 a.m. Theirs was released around 2 p.m. that day. So we released it about half a day earlier, kind of give them a glimpse of what we think they should do. We don't care if they do it or not, honestly, but it all pans out in the end of the season, normally in our favor like it did last year. And very excited about that. Very excited about Devlin Hodges, FCS Player of the Year at College Football Today, about a week before he won the Walter Payton Award. Kid who broke Steve McNair's record, getting promoted to the 53-man roster with the Pittsburgh Steelers as an FCS quarterback out of Samford University after Ben Roethlisberger goes down with an elbow injury. Who knows what that's about? Just because he's probably done, he's going to retire, and he didn't want to go out as the bum quarterback that I think he is. He was good in his heyday because he could sit in the pocket and take those hits. But let's go back to the college football rankings, top 25. We'll talk about Big Ben later and the deterioration of the Pittsburgh Steelers, the detrimation, whatever you want to call it. It's been abysmal to watch. My father played for the Steelers, David Trout, and I'm not really happy about that. But anyway, top 6 was the same for both of us. Clemson, Alabama. I have Oklahoma at 3. Coaches poll has them at 4. AP has him at 5. Jalen Hurts is my number one favorite right now for the Heisman Trophy in 2019. I think he's played phenomenal. I think he's really stepped up. I love his attitude. I love the way he carries himself. I think the kid is special and is going to continue to be special, and he's going to be a great NFL quarterback as well. They also said Kyler Murray wasn't going to be that good around this time last year, and he's proven himself to be an elite NFL quarterback as a rookie. And right now, Baker Mayfield out of Oklahoma is playing in Monday Night Football. They're up 23-3. I believe he's fell off a little bit this year so far, under year 2, away from Lincoln Riley, the GOAT, at developing quarterbacks, and needs to give him a call. Anyway, Clemson, Alabama at 2, Oklahoma at 3. I have Georgia at 4. Coaches poll has the same top 4. AP has LSU in. LSU barely beat Texas, but they beat Texas, who's a really good football team, and played the Northwestern State Demons this past weekend, and they beat them. But also the week before that, Midwestern, a Division II team out of Texas, out of the Lone Star Conference, beat the Northwestern State Demons very handily. I think they shut them out like 28 or 35-0. So you can't really justify that yet. I believe LSU is a great ball team this year. Burrows is lights out. He's my second or third guy for Heisman right now. But, Jalen Hurts is my number one at this point, and Tua's in the mix. Tua's got a lot around him, and he's been throwing a lot of screen passes, a lot of, plays that really dink and dunk and go for 75 yards because that receiving core is just phenomenal. But looking at it, moving forward, Ohio State, I have at 6. Everybody has them at 6 right now. I think they will be moving up as well. I'm loving Ryan Day. I think he's a great coach. I think he's really, taking the reins over from Urban Meyer, who he learned a lot from. And Urban Meyer is one of the best coaches ever in college football. So it's unfortunate what happened there last year, but he's doing a great job on Fox Sports and illustrating games for us. I like him in that capacity a lot. Florida, I have at number 7. I think the Trask kid that came in is not trash. I think he's very adept in the offense and can do a lot more, I think, than Felipe Franks. So I kept them moving up in the rankings. I think he's a great kid. I think he's a great quarterback. I really don't care what you think. So you can click the link on the bottom of this video to see this article I'm going through where I have them all compared. Somebody said I should have held a piece of paper up last week. You can go to the website and look at it while I'm talking if you want. I mean, it's online, so must have been an old man or something, doesn't know how to use a computer. Number 7, Notre Dame in the AP Top 25 and the coaches poll. They didn't play anybody this past week, and they really didn't play. I mean, Louisville's better this year, but I mean, they haven't proved themselves to me yet, so I still have them at 10. I have Michigan at 9, Wisconsin at 8. They're not giving Wisconsin the love, in my opinion, on where they really should be. They're 14 in the AP, and they're 14 in the coaches poll. I think they're better than Penn State. I think they're better than Texas. I think Jonathan Taylor is another guy, top 5 Heisman guy, best offensive line right now, in my opinion, in college football today, and I'm really excited for the Badgers this year. I think they really took the bull by the horns, and are going to have a great season. And they have a very good passing game this year too. Great defense. I think they pitched 2 shutouts in a row or 3 shutouts, and the Badger football's back. I have Michigan at 9. Michigan was in a tight game at Army. Michigan's going to be tested, moving forward as the season moves on. I think they're going to get a lot better, though, and they're going to give people some problems. And Coach Harbaugh is a great leader, great man, and, I think God's got his back. So I think Shea Patterson, needs to step up, or they need to put in Dylan McCaffrey out of Colorado, out of Valor Christian. Can't go wrong there. Kid's got a lot of skill. Really big upside, and could maybe be doing better than Shea Patterson is right now at the quarterback position. So looking at it, like I said, I think Utah's too high on these people's boards right now. I have Utah all the way down at 18. They have them at 10 and 11, respectively, in the AP and coaches poll. I have Auburn at 11. Auburn is now up at 8 and 9. They're moving up their rankings. Auburn beat Oregon. Oregon didn't really impress me in their game this past weekend. I forget who they played. I think it was an FCS team, or I forget. But they, Herbert's not what we thought he was. And last year he was a great quarterback, but I said he should have stayed another year, and maybe he should have come out last year because people were projecting him to go number 1 if he came out. But I'm just not seeing it. I'm not seeing the mobility. I'm not seeing the precise decision making that a lot of these other guys are exhibiting daily, weekly in the world of college football today. Penn State, I think they played great against Pitt. I think they escaped some bad calls on Pitt's behalf. No offense to Coach Narduzzi, but 2 scores is a touchdown and going for 2. Looking back at it, it was a fun game to watch. I thought Pitt played a great game, and they're not going to be playing again, for a long time, which is sad because they played, there's been 100-some matchups between the two. And my dad played for Pitt with Dan Marino and Tony Dorsett and all those guys, Russ Grimm, Mark May, who just got inducted into the Pitt Football Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Mark May, one of the best O-linemen ever to play the game. So, it is what it is. Pitt lost. Pitt has a chance to, really come back this weekend and get a big win. Let me look at Pitt's schedule. I think Pitt has a big game this weekend. Pitt football schedule. Pitt has a really big game this weekend. They play UCF, so Pitt has a chance to redeem themselves this weekend if they can get a big win over UCF football. They played Penn State amazingly at Penn State, so really, I have them at 12. AP has them at 13, and Coaches Poll also has them at 12. Texas, I have at 13. They should arguably be in the top 10, but they lost a game, and a lot of these other teams haven't lost yet. So if you go by the wins and loss record, you got to look at that and see where things go from there. But I think Texas is going to have a great season. They're going to run into that Oklahoma juggernaut. So we'll see how their defense is and if they can step up and not let up 45 points like they did to LSU, because Oklahoma definitely has a better offense than LSU. So we'll see what happens there. I still got Texas A&M at 14. Coach's poll has them at 15, and AP has them at 17. So, I mean, we'll see what happens with that. Texas A&M, Kellen Mond, I predicted him to be in the Heisman race. I think he can bounce back. I thought they would have gave Clemson a little more. I thought they could have given Clemson a lot better game if he just hit some passes downfield in the beginning. A lot of overthrows, a lot of bad reads. It is what it is, but we can't cry over spilled milk because there's more football to play. Texas A&M is going to have a great season. So Jimbo Fisher is not a slouch, and I think he's one of the best coaches in college football. And visiting that campus and seeing them during spring ball and their enthusiasm, the way they attack the football defensively, great running game. I love that running back. He's definitely going to be in the draft. So we'll see what happens there. But then I think Iowa with the big win, but we have them at 17. 18 respectively in both other polls, AP and coaches poll. And then we have UCF at 16. UCF is at 16 in the coaches poll as well, and 15 in the AP top 25. And Pitt has them this weekend. So UCF better bring their A game and see if they can beat another Power 5 conference team. They already took down Stanford, who hasn't been playing well this year. They lost to USC pretty bad, and Stanford football is just not the same. But I believe David Shaw will rectify that, especially next year with class of 2020 Scout Trout alumni, Tobin Phillips coming into town. He's an All-American, in my opinion, too. He's sitting about 6'4", 290 now. He's going to be a power side defensive end or D-tackle. Really, he's going to solidify things up front for them. When you look at down the line here, we have Boise State still at 19. They're number 20 in both other polls, and we flip-flopped it. And we have Washington State at 20, and they're at 19 in both other polls. Washington State's been impressive, and so has Boise State. But Boise State didn't really come out on fire against Portland State, FCS opponent, this week. So I believe that's why they are at number 20 in their poll. But nothing much has changed there for me. I have TCU at 21. They moved up from 25. They're number 25 in the AP poll. They did not make the coaches poll, which is a big mistake in my opinion. Gary Patterson is continuously calling all frogs to step up. And, I love the running game. I love what they got going on at TCU this year. I think TCU is a great football program. Home of our number 1 overall recruit in 2019, to Markway Foster. So he obviously knows what he's doing in that respect. Virginia at number 21. In the AP, I have Virginia at number 24, and they're 22 in the other poll. They got away with a scare this past week into FSU. Very close game to a not so good FSU team this year. They're really struggling. They barely beat UL Monroe the week before that. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, a lot of football left to play. This is only the week 3 poll, heading into week 4. We'll see what happens with all that. But like I said, the FCS is no slouch this year. The FCS is playing really good football. And, we're going to go over that next video and talk more about FCS football matchups that happened this past week and why we have teams ranked where we do. Getting a lot of love on the other polls and retweets from the actual colleges. Thank you. We appreciate that because we're right. And, whoever does the other polls, they're usually wrong about a lot of things, but not these AP and coaches poll for Division I. They're pretty solid this year from what I've seen last year. Leaving out Utah State like they did last year is not playing up as they did, last year with Jordan Love at quarterback, but Matt Wells is now at Texas Tech, who's playing good football. Arizona State, I have at number 22. Washington, they have at number 22. Washington lost to Cal. And the coaches poll has Washington above Cal. So when you go to head-to-head matchups, why would you have that this early in the season when Cal beat Washington 20-19 in like an all-night affair, which I did not stay up for. But I think I might have. But, then we got California at 23. They didn't make my poll. I haven't seen enough out of Cal yet. Neither did Washington. Arizona State, I have a number 22. Congrats to Herm Edwards and Coach Likens for beating Michigan State, who was never in our poll from day one, and they were in both other polls. So we obviously knew what we were doing there. We weren't scared about the Sacramento State game. We know FCS football is on the rise and really coming up. And same thing with D2 football. They beat a lot of FCS teams this past week, which we're going to go over in the video after the FCS video tonight. Temple at number 23. Temple beat Maryland. Maryland put up like a boatload of points the first 2 weeks, and Temple's defense came out and shut them down. Think about that for a second. Why hasn't Temple, who's undefeated, not in anybody else's top 25 but college football today's? Go Temple. I'm from right outside of Philly. I went to Gloucester Catholic High School right under the Walton Bridge. Temple was about 20 minutes away. I'm a Temple fan right now because they beat Maryland, number 17th ranked team in the country, 18 respectively last week in those polls, other polls. And, Coach Loxley's doing a great job, but Temple won in 20-15, I believe. So they found a way to neutralize an explosive Maryland team, and very proud of Temple football. I have Virginia 24, as I stated before. And last but not least, Memphis, who did not make the other two polls, but Kansas State did at 25. And, it's a toss-up there. Both teams are playing really good football. But Memphis beat South Alabama 49-3, who gave Nebraska a lot of problems. Nebraska football isn't living up to expectations this year, but they could in the end, and we'll see what Scott Frost and company brings to the table. Memphis football is undefeated. They're a great team. They're very, very well coached, and life without that amazing running back last year. Now I forget his name. I was going to say Devin Singletary, but that was FAU's guy. Life without him is moving along just fine, and I think Memphis is going to break. When they get to UCF, it's going to be a good game. And UCF's going to have to step up to win the conference title. And, we'll see what happens. Like I said, it's a long season still. But so far our polls are right on point for what I think they should be. And, of course, there's a couple mix-ups like there is every year in the beginning of the season, but it usually pans out to where the likes of Army, Utah State, and teams like that. Congrats to Air Force for beating Colorado this week. It's very hard to defend the triple option when you're running a 3-4. Mel Tucker should have adjusted to that and put some more guys in the box, in my opinion, but he sticks to his guns. Won a close game. You are considered right now the best team in the state of Colorado because Colorado beat Colorado State, and then you beat Colorado. So congrats to Air Force, Navy, and Army. You guys are all playing outstanding football at the service academies. Congrats to the Citadel, which we're going to talk about in the FCS Top 25 video. They did not make our FCS Top 25, even though they beat Georgia Tech, but they've lost the first two games of the season, so we had to justify some things there. But looking at it, read the article. It's going to be posted below. Smash the like button. Love you guys. Keep up the hard work. Scout Trout Recruits.